Hello there, guys. It's Zach. I wanted to talk today about actually just how I got into carnivore and kind of how it changed my life and just basically my story. Because I don't think I've told that yet, but I had a long history of kind of making really stupid, poor choices when it came to drugs, alcohol, partying. Um, I was actually a bartender at a gay bar for a long time. I drank a lot, did a lot of like party drugs, and kind of early 20s, and that kind of just led into my late, you know, I guess it's late 30s now. I'm almost 40, but um, so I made a lot of stupid decisions with health, and I think that some of those choices actually kind of also promote poor food choices because if you're doing all that stuff and drinking, why would you eat right? So um, I actually hit rock bottom. I came to a point where I was drinking so much that I was acting stupid, and you know, my wife came came to the conclusion of like, hey, either you're gonna stop this or we're gonna have to end things. I got a beautiful family. I got two kids, and so I kind of came to my end. I'm like, what am I gonna do? What what's gonna stop addiction? What's gonna stop just like all of it? The bad food choices. I was like eating pizza every day. I mean, it's just, and I was still in good shape, right? Because I always go to the gym, but those things kind of make you think that you're invincible when you're not. So it all came down to basically like how am I going to solve this problem? You know, I had to make a decision in my life. I needed something to change. I needed to be able to do it fast, and I stumbled upon one of Dr. Chafee's videos talking about addiction and plant toxins and like how we're addicted to things that like caffeine and so forth. So I don't remember which video it is. If I find it, I'll put it in the description. But uh, so I basically just started like cold turkey. I was like, okay, I'm like it's just gonna be raw, just a raw lion type diet: meat, salt, water. Um, First 3 weeks were miserable. I mean, they're going through all kinds of withdrawals, um, you know, from everything, not just sugar, but caffeine, food, drug, alcohol, all that kind of stuff. So 3 weeks went by, and 3 weeks of feeling pretty terrible, going through withdrawals, like feeling, like just awful. After the third week, though, my wife started saying, like, man, like you're a lot calmer. You seem to be more level headed. Like, even before when I wasn't drinking, it was just like different periods in my life where I wasn't drinking or doing whatever just because it was, it was an issue. So it was like, okay, let me stop. And then I would always go back. Um, she's like, you just, your skin's better. Your eyes are more white. Like, just everything seemed to be improved. And I was like, I kind of feel that same way. Like, this is pretty good. I did run into some like, some like electrolyte issues here or there, like different things that I had to figure out. But overall, I mean, it was like a dramatic health improvement. I had actually had Crohn's disease at one point in my life. That has like, it's just completely disappeared. There's no remnants of it or anything. But yeah, I mean, it was life changing. So for me, it wasn't just, let me lose weight. I had nothing to do with weight, right? I did lose a little bit of weight, but it's probably just like visceral fat that I couldn't see. Um, but man, you're just talking about like physical and emotional improvements. It's a life changer, right? So I'm addicted to nothing now, right? Which is actual food, real food freedom, which is kind of cool, is because I can give or take. Like, I don't really care if I eat or don't eat. If I get really hungry, obviously I'll want to eat, but it's not like, oh my God, I gotta go eat, right? Which is the coolest thing in the world. I literally have zero ties or addictions to anything, which I think kind of ties into this idea of like all plants are in some way addictive, because sugar's definitely addictive, right? Heroin's addictive. These are all plants. Cocaine's addictive. Marijuana seems to be addictive. Like, it seems like everybody wants, everybody smokes it, continues to do it. Tobacco's addictive. So there's nothing from the animal kingdom that we eat that is addictive, right? And I don't think that an addiction or a need or a chemical desire or necessity for something is a positive thing. I think it's always a negative thing, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, I as a person who just came from, you know, some just poor life choices, like fighting, getting into trouble, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I've done all that my whole life. I've, been in jail for shattering people's faces. Like I've done a lot of really stupid things in my life, and it's taken a long time. At this point, and the last 10 years have been fine, but the health aspect of it and the mental, emotional stuff that comes with some of these poor choices might go down to food because for the first time in my life, I feel level-headed and able to, um, control emotions and um, I feel a lot more empowered, stronger, assertive. I certainly don't I certainly still don't take shit from anyone. I've always been that way, but um, you know, I think that in general, it's for every aspect of health, it's super important. I mean, my kids, my kids benefit from it. So and a lot of parents ask me, how do you get your kids on it? And I think some of it has to do with like we gotta square ourselves away first, right? If we're not squared away, we can't. We're not going to be able to help our kids, right? If we're not doing things and we don't know why we're doing something, we're not going to be able to help them. So I think that that's a part of it. So you got to take responsibility for yourself and get everything in line. And there's a lot of really responsible people out there that make poor food choices, right? So there's so many different aspects of life that require us to change and to be strong. And there's a lot of men out there that think they're doing good. They're going to the gym, they're doing all this stuff, but they're just carb loading every single day, and they don't realize what carbohydrates are doing to their body, right? For sure, carbohydrates are not essential. We don't need them. You don't require them. You can make all your energy from meat. They damage the body. Um, we know that that's pretty much the reason why people have high blood pressure is because carbohydrates cause you to retain, salt, and that pumps up your blood pressure, right? So these are just things that we are all discovering now. Um, but as far as my carnivore journey, I started doing plain meat, salt and water, and I've kind of added things here or there or taken away. Like I'll eat chicken sometimes or sausage or this or that, but in general, what works is what makes you feel good. There's a lot of people that'll tell you you can't have this, you can't have that. I made a post this morning that had nothing to do with being against dairy. I'm not against dairy. I just said that dairy's purpose in nature is to fatten up young, right? And I used the purpose in nature, and everybody flipped out. I'm like, wow, you guys are actual addicts. Like you don't, you're like you would have thought that I sold children on the black market. That's how angry people were with me for saying this. And what did I say? I said, um, yeah, I just said dairy's purpose in nature is growth in young, right? To make babies get bigger, cows, whatever, right? Even goats, what have you. So people were arguing left and right, and I said, well, I actually didn't say anything bad about dairy. Like you see things the way that you are, because you're feeling guilty because I made you assumed that I was saying that dairy was bad, but I didn't say it was bad. I said that its purpose is to fatten up its young, which is true. That is its only purpose. It's to nurture and to grow a offspring, right? That's a fact. There's no that's not debatable. People were like, oh no, it's got all this and this purposes, and they started talking about micronutrients. I said, well, that's the same thing. It's assimilation of nutrients. I didn't pick one or the other to try to like make one like the point was cellular growth. An infant grows and gets larger, right? That's growth. That is increase in mass or weight. It's to put on weight, okay? To make a baby grow to a large size. There is no other purpose for milk in nature. If we're using milk is also an addictive substance. Absolutely. I've saw a bunch of people in my Facebook group, Carnivore, Harder, Happier, Healthier, posting even PubMed studies about the different receptors in your brain and how they're opiate receptors, and milk can be an addiction. So that's one other thing you have to watch out for. Dairy can be an addiction. Um, so, but anyway, so the people that got mad at me, I don't really give a shit. Like tough, like that's a true statement. You're not going to argue with me. You can like fluff it up and make it whatever, but you're wrong. milk's purpose is not for humans, right? Unless it's human milk, but that's for human babies, not for human adults, right? There's a reason why the milk eventually stops. We all stop drinking mom's milk for a reason, okay? But a cow's milk is designed for a baby cow, for the purpose. This is a natural process for the purpose of growing a baby cow to a large cow. That's the point. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. You're wrong, okay? So we have to understand that when you do something that's outside of nature, there are side effects, right? So that's what I was getting at. You're, you're running into some possibilities of complicating things when you add dairy. Is it okay in moderation? Absolutely, but it can be addicting, right? So just like marijuana, just like cocaine, just like any of those drugs, just like alcohol, okay? So if you are addicted and you're trying to get away from addictions, the first couple months I recommend not doing dairy, okay? Just meat, salt, water. If you can add those things back later and do it in moderation and not be, not feel like you're super addicted to it, I think that's a good thing. Fine. But in general, stick to the meat and the salt and the water. I've actually stopped using salt. I don't think it's really necessary after it's been 8 months. But so that's the thing. I mean, this whole diet is going to change, and you're going to grow, and you're going to learn. So like what you learn today that works, 2 months from now, that may not work anymore, right? So don't like. There's no gospel of carnivore, and a lot of people they think that, and there's really not. So what's wrong for one person might be right for another. I've seen people and actually coached people that I think legitimately need to have fruit in their diet for whatever reason. It seems to be helpful, and they are relatively healthy, and maybe just the meat only is just like not for them. I don't know if it's a genetic thing, like maybe they came from an area that was had a lot more fruit, or their family genetics where there was fruit and that was available. Like for me, I can't do fruit. I really don't. Kiwi is the only thing that doesn't bother me for some reason. I can eat a kiwi, doesn't bother me. If I eat watermelon, I get sick, right? So I mean, this is like a thing that is real. Pineapple makes me throw up. Watermelon, too much, like more than like two pieces of watermelon, I throw up. Okay, it's the weirdest thing in the world, but that's the truth. That's my truth. Okay, but that doesn't mean that if I say that, everybody should do that. It just means that this is what works for me. The truths are not is clear, and sometimes like a truth is that dairy can is inflammatory, and dairy is not designed for humans. That is a truth, because it's not, because in nature it's not, okay? But that doesn't mean that you can't do something and mitigate the side effects because you are in good shape, or healthier than the next person. Whatever those reasons are, I don't really know what they are, but for sure that there are variances of things that are appropriate for one person versus another. So trying all of those different things, don't just like hear somebody or hear what I say or what Dr. Whoever says and think that's the truth, because it's really not. And that's the thing I've noticed of carnivore. And I think that so a lot of people get too wrapped up into like, oh, this is the way things are. But there are certain truths, but you're definitely not going to be just like the next guy. So I strongly recommend, based on where I've come from, how my diet has changed and adapted, and what works and what doesn't. Like for example, cheese. I can't do cheese. I just can't. It doesn't. I just don't respond well to it. So raw cream, heavy cream, it's perfect. I can have a little bit of that. Doesn't hurt. Okay. Um, but make it yours, and trial and error. The other thing is like, we got all these people like teaching you what to do, and like all these people motivating everyone else, and it's like I feel like everybody's kind of afraid to do, right? They're afraid that if they do something and it doesn't work, I failed, right? But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that sometimes you need to fail. I mean, it's been like I almost failed in my life, right? I almost like lost everything because I was being stupid, and you know, this turned it around for me. So for me, this turnaround and this like ability to teach other people is my way of paying that forward. Okay, I'm not making any money. I got a large group of about 1,000 people in my Facebook group now. It's just about education, right? I'm just there. I have a lot of really good people in that group that are there to help teach what they've learned. The other some of the other groups of on Facebook I've seen it, they're hateful. Like the thing about the milk, like I posted that, and geez, you would think that I was some evil, terrible person. So, and I didn't actually say milk was bad. I just said that its design in nature is to fatten up cows, which is true. That's not a lie, right? That is the actual purpose of milk, is to grow a cow. Growth is weight. Okay, so just think about that, and understand. We're all trying to learn and figure things out, and I'm here to help in any way possible, for sure. I'm not always going to tell you things you want to hear. That's just my style. I will tell you the truth, though. Okay, and because of that, I have my integrity. I'm not going to, I don't change my truth to adapt to people that only believe things that, or I don't adapt to people who only believe things that other people believe, right? So they only, like, as somebody who only wants to be around somebody who tells them the same things that they think that they know, right? So they want to be surrounded by everybody who thinks the way that they do. I'm not going to do that. Okay, I walk into a room. If the whole room is one way and I actually feel the other way, I'm going to tell them the other way. And I really, because I just don't have the care. I don't really care about the feelings of people around me, because I realize that feelings are fleeting and feelings will change. And sometimes you need to be snapped into reality and told the truth. And to me, that means that I care. That's somebody who wants to help you. Okay, so my style, the way I do it, tell you how it is, and I'm results oriented. So I'm not going to fluff you. I'm not going to tell you something I don't think is going to work. I'm not going to tell you something just to tell you something to fill the space. If I don't know, I don't fucking know. Okay. Um, but I do a lot, right? Man, I spent so. I mean, the thing, I almost lost my family. Everything was very important to me when I was figuring this stuff out. Like, I had to get away from addiction. I had to figure out how to cut all addictions, coffee included. Like, when you're not addicted to anything, you have this like freedom of, I don't know how to describe it, but plant foods are weight. They weigh on you, and you don't really know it until you're off of them. Okay, and I know that's maybe hard to understand, or it's even hard to describe, but to me, it's a truth. And I think that a lot of people suffer for the same reasons I was suffering. And if you are, there's really no reason why you can't try something new. And trying something new means, hey, let's give yourself a month, 90 days, whatever it is, try. And if you fail, you can always go back to what you were doing. You know, I mean, that's what I was like. If I wanted to go back to the life of alcohol and do drugs and doing all that stuff's all waiting for me, right? I'm not missing out on anything. I'm not missing out on coffee, because that stuff is a choice. And a lot of people I've heard, they say that same thing. They're like, oh, I don't want to give this up. Like, the idea of never being able to do this ever again. Well, you know what? That's not the important stuff in life. If you're basing your choices and your decisions and your stuff on, you know, holding on to some sort of food or plant or drink or whatever it is, alcohol, like that is a physiological addiction, and it's sad. And I know, because I've been there. Okay, so those of you who have had addictions and like want a different way out, like I think carnivore's it. And I feel like, for me, I can take or leave things now. Like, do I think that I was an alcoholic? Probably not, because I would drink once and then never have any problem. The problem with me is that when I drink, I turn into a person that's not nice. Okay. So it wasn't like I was drinking every day and whatever, but when I was drinking, it was not good for anyone around me. So that's, to me, is a similar thing. I mean, it's a poison, it's a toxin. It does something to your brain and makes you something that you're not. That's an addiction too. Okay, so again, I'm here to help. I'm always available. Leave comments. Share these videos. Subscribe. Anybody that's got an addiction, throw it out there. Throw them a lifeline. Like, hey, maybe this carnivore diet will help you. I know it helped this kid. Like, I mean, results oriented wise, I'd say I'm doing really, really well. Physically, like, I mean, my performance in the gym's better. Like, all around, everything's better. Skin's better, health's improved dramatically. So, and I want to share that with you guys. So just do that for me. If somebody doesn't believe you, let me be the burden of proof. Let me get in front of them, because one-on-one, if somebody's going to actually be, open there, and I talk to them, they're gonna come around. They're gonna see the carnivore as the way to do it. So that's just my, I have that ability because, when I talk to people about carnivore, I'm not I'm not trying to convince them that carnivore works. What I'm doing is I'm showing them that I believe carnivore works, right? And they are convinced that I'm 100% committed and I believe in this. And when they see that, they get committed. Okay, they start to do it. You're never going to convince somebody to change what they eat. You can't. You're not going to do it to your kids either. I was explaining this yesterday. You have to lead by example, and you have to show the results. They need to see and believe that you believe. Okay, we'll talk to you guys soon.